What I love about Content Marketing World is the community.
The people at Content Marketing World are the most generous, smart, warm, genuine.
Everybody is so friendly. Even the newbies, they're like, everybody here is so nice.
Everyone is so open and willing to talk and work out problems.
Immediately upon my first time here, I felt very welcomed and loved.
Some of my best friends in the world are people that I met at Content Marketing World.
Coming here feels kind of like a family reunion. You sit in on sessions, and even if you don't know somebody, they instantly gravitate and everybody kind of becomes this friend. We all share knowledge with each other, and I leave feeling like I've learned just as much from the people attending as I have from the people standing on stage.
What I love most about Content Marketing World is that it's a community event that starts here but lasts all year long.
Just being able to grow my network outside of just the company I work for is extremely valuable.
And I've been able to learn and collaborate with people that I probably would have never ever met in my life.
Just the ease of being around people that get excited about the same things you do, that speak the same language, and are just really happy to be here. Like, it just really lights me up for the rest of the year.
Do not skip. Do not go take a phone call in the break at Content Marketing World. The break is the point, that mingling time.
You can have more nuanced, sophisticated conversations together about marketing and content innovation, even though you meet people from a broad variety of industries and across different roles.
You know, building that community and building those strong connections is something that's at the heart of content marketing.
It is a large conference with a lot of amazing, actionable advice. But at the end of the day, it's about the people.
It is a family vibe that I've never seen replicated anywhere else.
So every year I come and it's like getting together with family, but it's a family that's not dysfunctional.
Hello, everyone. So good to see you. This is Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. I'm so happy you're joining us this afternoon for our latest episode of Live with CMI. And as always, I am joined by my colleague here, JK. How are we doing today, JK?
I am doing wonderful. It is just a gorgeous day here in Northeast Ohio. We're in the dog days of summer and taking a little time off before the craziness starts. You know what we're talking about. You just saw our promo video. We have this wonderful little event coming up, and we're gearing up for it. It's getting very busy here in the cave. So I'm going to take a day or two off to enjoy some time and then really dive in. But I'm really, really excited about what we're talking about today.
Yes, absolutely. I am as well. Original research, it isn't just another content asset. It's the foundation for thought leadership, media coverage, and the kind of authority that actually moves the needle. So today we're talking about just how powerful original research can be in your content marketing mix, right, JK?
Oh, that's so right. We know research feels intimidating, expensive, and complicated, but something only that big brands and maybe people with massive budgets can pull off, but it doesn't have to be. And today's guest will help us break down why original research is one of the most underutilized yet most powerful tools in your content marketing arsenal.
Absolutely. We know that here at Content Marketing Institute as well. Well, before we get to our awesome guests today, we want you to know that this live stream is brought to you by, if you haven't guessed, the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for all things content and marketing. So head over to contentmarketinginstitute.com for all of our great resources, videos, research, webinars, digital events. We have all kinds of great stuff over there. So check that out. And then as you join us today for our live stream, as always, give us a virtual wave. Let us know where you are joining us from. We love to hear from all of you. It always makes for a more engaging live stream. If you guys help us out here, drop a question in for our guest or a comment as we go along here today. I will try to get to it as best as I can. So please, feel free. If you have any questions here for JP about original research, feel free to drop it in the comments and I will get to it. So, all right. Without further ado, let's introduce today's topic and our guest. So, as we mentioned, we're chatting original research, and today's guest was a 2025 finalist for Content Marketer of the Year in CMI's Content Marketing Awards program. JP Lespinasse, I hope I got that right, is the Vice President of Brand and Content Marketing at Lightcast, and Lightcast actually won for Best Use of Original Research in our 2025 awards program with this campaign called The Rising Storm, Building a Future-Ready Workforce to Withstand the Looming Labor Shortage. It was a new take on Lightcast's annual research project where they translated complex economic, demographic, labor market data. Sometimes our eyes glaze over with all of that, but they made it into a compelling narrative that created significant ROI. So to say that JP knows a thing or two about original research is maybe an understatement. Hi, JP. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, JP.
All right. So why do you think, did I have you? Sorry, you're on mute. That was me. I apologize.
No worries. No, I just said, thanks for having me. And it's going to get real dicey with the JP, JK, lots of J initial things happening today. So we'll figure it out.
All right. So, let's dive in here. What do you think? Why do you think original research is such a powerful asset in a content marketing strategy, especially compared to all the other kinds of content that brands typically create?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I'm really, really lucky to work at this place, Lightcast. We're a labor market intelligence company. So we gather data on jobs and wages and skills, and we've got a bunch of economists on staff. And so it allows us to really dig into the most interesting topics of the day for a really, really broad group of humans. And so it makes it such that we have data and insights that nobody else has, right? We're, I love the term, looking around corners, in marketing and in business. And that is really what we're doing every single day. And so the ability to find something that is cut through and also interesting to a lot of people, because everyone's talking about either your job or the job that you want, or your friends' jobs, your family's jobs, who lost their job, so that's always a topic of interest. And what's cool is that at Lightcast we get to double click into sort of that regular foundational stuff that everyone talks about to go really deep on things. And when you have the ability to do that, like I said, you're talking about something that nobody else is saying or doing or has access to, and it makes it really cut through. I'm a big sports fan. You can see the Papa Shop behind me. I live in the New York, New Jersey area, so Knicks in 5, and so you can almost it's akin to how if you watch ESPN or Fox Sports or whatever your network of choice is, each one of the most interesting pundits has a shtick, right? They're either yelly or confrontational, or the new NBA analysts are they're really deep into the minutia of the game, and so that's what differentiates them. And at Lightcast we have this amazing ability because we have all this data, we have all these economists to go in and make something that's really cut through like the people who have carved out their own shtick, that this is our shtick. It's like, we've got economists. We don't have to yell at you. Like, we're not breaking down, right? On mascot heads or anything. But like, we just do something that is endemic to us and who we are, which is like, we nerd out, about labor data. And JK mentioned in the open that it may be intimidating, like for some brands or some companies to think, oh man, like if I want to do original research, it's going to cost us a lot of money and a lot of time, and I might not be able to do it. And I mean, Lightcast is not a small company. There are about 750 of us, but it's the smallest place that I've ever worked. I've worked at really big places like Viacom and Nokia and the NBA and Gap and IBM. And so I don't think of it like, wow, you need a lot of people or a lot of money to do it. I think in this day and age, you just need a handful of people, in our case, who love the data and want to dig into the data, but you don't necessarily need data in order to do research. I think you just need a voracious appetite for finding something interesting and then interrogating that until you get to something that is meaty enough for you to write about and has a compelling hook.
Yeah. So going a little deeper into that, besides having your economists wear mascot heads, walk us through how you can make research interesting, right? You're talking about all of this complex economic data. So making it, interesting versus just sharing, here's the data, look it over. So considering what you did with Rising Storm, what is your advice on taking it beyond those stats, creating that compelling research pop that people actually want to read, right? And also do all the other things, generate media attention, et cetera.
I think one of the magic sparks that we generated with Rising Storm, and then we've actually done a few other research reports since then. We did one called Beyond the Buzz that was centered around AI. And then we did another one called Fault Lines, which was all about the things that are disrupting the labor market a little bit under the surface, but that we're all going to feel soon. And so you see the common thread there is that it's difficult to talk about labor statistics with, the general public unless you create an analogy for it. So with Rising Storm, we talked about there's an impending storm coming. How do you prepare for a storm? It's similar how you should prepare for these shortages. With Beyond the Buzz, we talked about the fact that AI, everyone's talking about AI, but how do you cut through the clutter and go deeper than just, oh, there are a bunch of people are getting laid off because of AI. Are they really? How do you really interrogate that? But in order to continue to talk about it, the refrain of we're going beyond the buzz allowed us to have that sort of, continued thread. And then for Fault Lines, as I just noted, we came up with this analogy about how you sort of prepare for an impending earthquake and how some of these disruptions, geopolitical strife, it feels similar to that. And so I think as you're thinking about what you're researching, what those topics are, being able to really think about how you would discuss it at a cocktail party. I know that's an old marketing trope for old marketers like me, but you really have to think of it like that. What is going to keep people's interest? And it might not be the intricacy of this chart and this graph and this trend line, but you have to create a narrative, create a story around it so that as you get into the minutia, you can continue to correlate it to something that most people know. That's how I've found it to be resonant. And then I'll just give you one more example, is that when we did this Beyond the Buzz report that was all focused on AI, I pushed my design team to use a bunch of AI resources. This is a year ago, use a bunch of AI resources in the manifestation of the report and of the video. So we used an avatar for the video, but we made it super glitchy on purpose because we were talking about how AI was disrupting work. And so again, I mentioned that I worked at Viacom at one point in my career. I sort of think of everything like a television show. And, thinking about the report as a hero and then everything that comes out of it as a derivative, much like you think about, oh, there's an episode of this television show, but the fact is that you had to do a promo video, you had to make the 15, the 30, maybe the 60-second trailer, you needed to do bus shelters, you needed to put, I live in the New York area, so like you need to do like subway takeovers, you needed to do print, you needed to do social. So when you think about that, like the report is the episode, but then you have to create all this other fun stuff to get people to watch the app.
Sidebar.
Yeah.
How important do you think is it to have storytellers on the team to be able to sort of see, having those storytellers on the team to be able to see that through the data?
Huge. And I think, again, I'm lucky because I have economists and researchers here at Lightcast that do that on a daily basis. So they know how to get into the data and like create a narrative around it. But even if you're doing your own research, that maybe that is data or not, it is critical to think through, how would I explain this in a not so technical way? You think about, how would I explain this to my mom or to my uncle?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Right. Well, and the interesting thing, JP, is you're going in with you're already at an advantage because you're going in with a storyteller's mindset, from your background. But that leads into a question that I had for you, and you kind of touched on it. But okay, so let's say you have the original research and the story that you want to tell. Like, how do you maximize that value? I mean, what's your framework for turning like one research project into like multi-channel content or a content engine that keeps delivering like ROI for months or even years?
Yeah, it's really important to think through it like that. And I do. I have this like amazing background in my career that I totally Forrest Gumped my way into. Like, oh wow, I learned this here and I learned this here. But yeah, like the ability to think it through like that hero derivative model is really important. And one of the missteps when I first joined Lightcast that I did is that I wasn't letting things breathe enough. We have so many smart people and they all have really great ideas of stuff that they want to push out and research they want to do, that we would publish something and we would promote it for like 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm like, great, on to the next, because someone handed me something else that was like super meaty and wonderful. And so now we definitely, from a content strategy perspective, think, all right, we're going to release something. And then for the next 6 to 9 months, we are going to continue to press in on what we've discussed. Because oftentimes our research reports are pretty meaty. They're, let's say the equivalent of like a 60-page like PDF. So it means that there are lots of charts, there are lots of insights, there are lots of graphs. But I think the other piece with the derivative model, I think going back to correlating it maybe to television, which a lot of people know, is that yes, you can do the episode and then you can do all the promotional materials, but then like the magic is like all the BTS content. You're like, oh, do you want to see the director's cut of blah, 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 or do you want to see the bloopers? And I think that that's the piece that sometimes for research-oriented, or report-oriented, white paper type folks, you don't think about. But for us, as an example, our latest really meaty research report was called Fault Lines. I referenced it before. And then we saw a lot of chatter about how healthcare specifically as a sector was getting really disrupted. So we spun up the idea to do a 3-part blog series on disruptors for healthcare. So we're like, how is AI disrupting healthcare? How are labor shortages disrupting healthcare? And how are geopolitical strife affecting healthcare? So that wasn't even really it was probably in the original report in 2 sentences. Right. But then we double clicked into it, made a 3-part blog series that now we're promoting. Now we're running ads for. We did a video for. We actually, the person who wrote that just did a webinar on that specifically with a third party. So you have to be able to find the nuggets and also be listening, be listening to what people out in, what's in the zeitgeist. How do I pull that thread from the report and deliver something new and different with it?
Yeah.
Deborah wants to know, JP, who was your audience for this piece and how did you measure success?
Sure. I know that I talked about several research reports, but I'll just focus back on Rising Storm. And so for Rising Storm, it was, to be honest, like we sort of pitched it like it was a global report, but a lot of the data and the insights were very US specific. And so like, first geographically, pretty US focused. Then secondarily, at Lightcast, we have three main audiences. We talk to educators, employers, and then what we call public sector leaders, or like state and local government. And so we knew actually for that report that all three audiences would be engaged. And so that was sort of our rubric, is like, we wanted to make sure that each of those individuals or each of those groups had something interesting in the report. We knew that not every word, every paragraph, every section was going to be for every single one of those audiences, but we wanted there to be enough that we planted in so that they would all feel like satiated with the meal at the end. But then what we also did is we published special addendums, each addendum dedicated to that audience. So we basically pulled out an executive summary. Like, if you're an educator, maybe you didn't want to read every single word in the full Rising Storm report. Here's a brief in 3 pages. Here are the things we thought were most important for educators. So yeah, long-winded answer to a short question, but the audiences were broad, and sometimes that is a hindrance. But I think there are always creative ways to ensure that you're speaking to the audience that you want in the way that they want to be heard from you, without them having to decipher through or wade through all of the other stuff.
So JP, this sounds like a pretty big project. Most marketers understand like doing original research like this, it can be very valuable, but they hesitate because it seems so big, so expensive, out of reach, time consuming, complicated. So what is your response to that? And how can brands of different sizes approach original research?
Yeah, I think for us marketers, we know when we go and talk to folks in the business who are not marketers, especially folks who are not at our company, we often flabbergast them with how little resources we've got, especially in the last decade. And so what I would say is, don't be disgruntled with how little you have. Instead, aim to be as creative as possible. I think because of how grandiose the results around Rising Storm were, you might suspect that it was a team of many people. But in fact, really the core Rising Storm team was only 7 individuals, right? Wow. Like, and so you can do, like, short answer, you can do it. You can do it with less, especially now there are so many more resources than there used to be. And I'm not an advocate of going and trusting LLMs to do all of your work because of the hallucinations that we still see, et cetera. But it does present a lot more opportunities for smaller teams than it ever had been. And the fun thing about working at Lightcast is that because we do deliver data to those educators, public sector leaders, and enterprises, especially on the education front, we find that there are individual researchers at an individual institution, like a Stanford or a Harvard or a Yale or a University of Michigan or whatever, Syracuse, who are like, hey, we bought your data and we published a whole report. That's just one human being, right? Like, and often there are very, very interesting reports. We have a page on our website that just that chronicles all those reports called academic research. But I guess my point is, don't be disgruntled that you don't have a 25-person team. Like, not all of us are Apple and Google and Amazon. Like, sometimes you just you got to put 3 or 4 people in a room that are really interested to do it. And you can get really, really wonderful results. Also, stay focused, right? Like, this report that I'm talking about, it's like the entire labor market, shortages everywhere. You don't have to do that. You can talk about something just in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
For JK and Amanda, like that is hyper local, that you can get really specific about, and because you're local and it's your community, odds are you're probably more passionate about it. And also, when you come up with something that's like really resonant, you'd be surprised at people who don't even work on your team, like who are willing to chip in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Faison has, I think that's how you say it, has a sort of a question here, but I think we haven't really talked to is, how has this original research sort of helped your sales team with like client conversations? Like how has it had that business outcome?
Yeah, great question. I'm glad someone asked it, because I should have gotten to it. Like, shame on me for not mentioning. But I've never been in sales, but I've been doing marketing for a lot of years now, and I've come to understand that oftentimes for sellers, and we call them reps at like us, account managers, people who already have a client contact, that it's often just really interesting to give them something new and fresh to have a conversation about. And for us, because we're a data company, when we author new research, it allows them to talk about the data and then to talk to that prospect or to that client about how they can get and use that data themselves. So from my perspective, right, research is top of funnel content, and it is important for all of the other players in the marketing and sales world to then take that content and make it their own. And so, yeah, take the content, in general that we wrote about going beyond the buzz for AI. And like, if you're calling on a manufacturer, like discuss like how it's impacting them. And then you can throw a stat or two at them from this report. They don't have to go and read the whole report. We're just, I like to think of it like a buffet, right? Like we put out this report. It means that there are all of these amazing treats for you to grab. You go ahead and make your own plate, right? Like you take the wings and the mac and cheese and the salad, and the brownie, and you go off and do that. But someone else is going to take, right, the salmon, like the white rice and the asparagus. It is our job to just put all the stuff out. And then the sellers and the reps and all of the other people, the thought leaders and the executives can go and take what they need from the table. But right, it's important to set the table right. If you don't set the table right, people come and they're like, I'm a vegan, I can't eat anything here. So that's what I feel like our job is.
Well, that's awesome, because that leads me into this question, where you just left that off. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see brands make, like when conducting and promoting original research, and how can marketers avoid those pitfalls?
Yeah, great. I think one of them is something that we touched on a little bit earlier, is like not understanding the zeitgeist, right? Like you put out research about stuff that could be really cool to you, but nobody else cares about, right? Like, so that's really, really important. I think, the other thing that I reference is not letting the research breathe. Like you put it out and then like you automatically want to do something new, and you're sort of like cannibalizing your own work and covering it up. I think those are two big ones. I think the other thing is, a colleague of mine a couple of jobs ago introduced me to this phrase, which I now use all the time and I love, but I never heard before, called navel gazing. Like looking down at your own belly button. Like, don't write about stuff that's only important to you, right? Like you have to understand like what other people care about, and that it will be resonant with them. Like if it's cool to you, but you only, you're probably going to waste a lot of your time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And by the way, I just wrote that down. That is my new favorite.
Yeah, it's
I'm going to hear it all the time. Well, JP, as we wrap up here, what's one takeaway that, or tip that you hope people take away about creating original research?
Yeah. Ooh, it's difficult to encapsulate it into just one thing. Yeah, I think it's about finding something intriguing that you can add a new spin to or go deeper about. Right? There is, like, especially about AI right now, like, you throw a stone on LinkedIn and like you find a post, a white paper, a full article about like how does AI is doing the blah 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 blah. You've got to find something like that goes deeper, that presents like independent thought by you and your team that is not pervasive in the marketplace. I think that that's the thing that is most important. As you're, like, for every one report we do, we throw out 4 ideas, right? Like those 4 ideas, we recognize it's not worth the time, the effort, and the energy, like, which is often months of work and data to like do that. So like, I think the pre-work, like in any marketing, in any creative, like, if you're a video person, they say like the pre-pro is the most important part, right? Like, and so it is similar for research. The pre-pro is the most important part. Like, what topic, how deep, how do we want to attack it? Like, and also we haven't talked about it much, but the medium, like not everything has to be a PDF, right? Like it can be an interactive experience. It can be a video. It can be other stuff. So I think it's important to just think about, the projected resonance, and then how are we going to show it to the public so that, like, they will eat as many things as we put out in the event, instead of only going back to their 3 favorites over and over and over again.
Now that all this food analogy has made me hungry. So
lunchtime here on the East Coast.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, JP, for sharing all of your award-winning expertise with us here. How can people connect with you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, please just hit me up here on LinkedIn. I also oversee all of our social media here at Lightcast, so I'm on LinkedIn 24/7.
Awesome.
Small team.
Probably more like 18.5 instead of 20, but close. Yeah. So yeah, please send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I check them and respond all the time.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for your questions as well.
Yeah.
So
thanks for your time, and good luck with the big event in October. I have done events as part of my career, and I know how much of a thankless job it is. So good luck with it, and I hope.
Thank you.
It's precious.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, JP.
Take care, JP.
All right. So speaking of award-winning work, just a reminder that we just released our category winners for the 2026 Content Marketing Awards program. So congratulations to everyone who won an award. And you can see their work on our Content Marketing Awards Spotlight page. We'll drop a link to that, as well as a link to the complete list of winners in the chat. And stay tuned for our announcement of the top winners in the Content Marketing Awards ceremony. That's coming up in August. We'll announce Project of the Year, Agency of the Year, and Content Marketer of the Year. So exciting stuff, right, JK?
Oh, that's so, I love going through this every year. It is so cool to go through it because it's something brand new every year, and and then of course leading up to the event with the big winners. I just love every minute of it. So I geek out a little bit every year. And I get inspired. That's the crazy
work
thing.
like JP and like Cass's work, see what's working out there.
Seriously. Well, hey, we talked a lot about research today, right? So, and speaking of research, we here at CMI, it's been what now? We put out our original research, and right now we are fielding our B2B content and marketing survey, now in its 17th year. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
Doing this thing for 17 years.
JK put your book together, so he has been doing it for 17 years.
But hey, we need your help. So we just sat down with our own research director, Lisa Merton Beets, to discuss why we are so passionate about this annual survey for marketers. And so we're all busy. So let's take a second and listen to what Lisa has to say about this wonderful research program we put together. And let's get you involved.
All right, Lisa, tell us a little bit about Content Marketing Institute's annual research.
Okay, yeah. So CMI's annual content marketing survey is the longest running study of content marketing practices in the industry. Since launching, we've been tracking the pulse of content marketing. We've surveyed thousands of marketers over the years to understand their strategies, challenges, successes, priorities. We've analyzed what's working, what's not working, and we've looked at how top performers stand out. But you know what makes this research really special? It's been around. It's been around for a long time. We've documented how an entire profession has evolved over nearly 2 decades.
So why is it so important to benchmark what's happening like in the content marketing industry?
Benchmarking gives marketers context. It helps marketers make strategic business decisions. When you know what your peers are doing, you know how they're spending, what they're measuring, where they're seeing success, you can make smarter decisions about your own organization and your own program. For example, say you need to build a business case for more budget. Having a stat or data that shows 75% of top performers are investing in this, that makes those conversations easier. And when we look at the marketers who get the best results from their programs, when we look at what they're doing differently, we can surface insights that help accelerate learning across the entire industry.
Now, Lisa, you have been in charge of our research for a very long time. So how has it evolved over the years, and what is new or different this year for the survey?
A few years ago, we made a significant change when we moved to an annual thematic approach. Rather than trying to cover so many topics every year, we can now zoom in on 5 or 6 key areas of importance to content marketers, topics that are most pressing for the industry at the moment, so we can go deeper. This year, AI is obviously a huge focus. We're looking at how marketers are balancing efficiency with quality there. We're also exploring how brands build trust, how they're adapting to new search realities and distribution strategies, what types of content experiences they're offering, and where their budget priorities are heading for 2027. Ultimately, this research exists to help content marketers succeed, whether that means making better strategic decisions, winning budget approval, or just tackling tough challenges. And every year, we're excited to see how it helps marketers navigate what's ahead. And we're really excited about this year.
All right. Thank you so much, Lisa.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right. So as Lisa mentioned, we need your help and your expertise, your insights into the trends and on-the-ground realities of marketing are more important than ever. We'll drop the link in the comments for you to take the survey. The resulting report will be available this fall. The survey takes just 10 to 15 minutes. And once you finish, you could be entered for a $100 Visa gift card. So your responses will remain confidential, but we really need your help in being able to, like we said, pulling these insights out and sharing it with our community and our audience. We think that's so helpful and beneficial for everybody else. What else, JK?
Well, you know what I'm going to talk about. I already talked about it. We are busy gearing up for Content Marketing World, October 5th through 7th in Denver. But hey, hurry, because now's the time to lock the best rates for Content Marketing World, because discounted registration ends this Friday, July 31st. And in case you missed it, we just announced our big keynote, actress Gabrielle Union, which is going to be fantastic. I'm so excited to see her. We'll also have Sophia Bush, Mark Pritchard with P&G, and so many more amazing speakers and sessions. Head over to contentmarketingworld.com now to register and use our code LIVE100, that's LIVE 100, to save an extra $100. And we all hope to see you there because this year is going to be so fun. New city. We have our TMRE family with us. It is going to be one heck of a party, and I cannot wait.
Yes, we will both be there. So we hope to see you there. If you signed up or you're getting ready to sign up, please drop us a note and let us know. We'd love to meet up with you if you're going to be at the event. So we covered a lot today. That was a lot.
We did.
So
it was I'm going to do some navel gazing and some napping.
Yeah,
that was
sounds
awesome.
pretty good after lunch. So, well, thank you all so much for joining us today. That does it for this month's episode. We will be back next month as well with a new topic to tackle. If you have any thoughts or about what you want us to have on the subject we'd like us to cover, please drop it in the comments or message JK and I. We want this to be something that's useful to you. So that's all I got. Until next time, we will see you.